Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Well, he's back on the Kapiti Coast today, domiciled in Paikakiriki as our book reviewer, trip reviewer, or show reviewer, Ralph McCalister. Good morning, Ralph.
To guess how many jerseys I've got on, I'm going up slowly in the count.
Right. I would suggest perhaps 3 or 4 at the moment, would it?
Oh boy, and you tell me it's going to get much colder?
About 2 degrees tonight.
Oh yes, well I think perhaps Waiheke beckons again, or...
I would suggest so, yeah. I see they only had
Vietnam
19...
or...
Yeah, they only had 19 degrees yesterday.
Oh, well, there you go. So I've had my escapism and
Yes.
I'm back to reality. But reality's not so bad when I can look out at that beautiful Kapiti Island, you know. There's a bit of blue sky up there. You
Yes.
probably haven't seen it yet, but I have.
Yes, yeah, no, it's home's always the nicest place in the end, eh? We've got to put up with a little bit of winter. We've had such a good summer and autumn, haven't we?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So lots of time up there for reading, Nigel, and
Yes.
this time I've got another cracker for your listeners. It's called Larchfield. It's Larchfield. That's the name of an academy, which was a real academy, school, college, in Scotland, in Helensburgh, in the 1930s. And this is a wonderful story about there are 2 stories, actually. One about W.H. Auden, the renowned, famous, notorious poet of the time, who became a conscientious objector and flew off to America to escape the draft and so on, or the conscription, conscription. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway, it's partly his story when he's a young teacher up in Helensburgh. He's got no experience of teaching. He's got no idea how to handle volatile young boys in the college in the Larchfield. So we've got his story as he begins to understand his own identity and emerging sexuality. And on the other hand, we've got Dora, who is a modern-day poet, and she's living in Helensburgh. And she is pregnant, and she's worried, and she goes through lots of the problems and anxieties that pregnant women go through, I believe. And so you've got these 2 parallel stories, and the magical thing is that somehow the Polly Clark, who's the debut novel writer, she managed to merge the 2, not just the plots, but the people, and it becomes a quite magical story, which I certainly think is going to figure in one of my best books of the year.
Wow, yeah.
Shimmeringly beautiful to read and to appreciate, and there are all sorts of subplots where Dora doesn't get on well with her neighbours upstairs, and she slowly descends into a form of depression, and she begins to imagine meetings with W.H. Auden. It's a magical, part realistic, part fantastic story, and I'd recommend it to anybody, I think.
So you say a poet. Where does the poet part come in?
Well, he became a very famous poet with his work with Christopher Isherwood in the 30s and 40s.
Ah, right.
And he published a great deal, but was always frustrated because he never felt that he got the recognition that he deserved. So he became, he's a real historical character, not fiction, whereas Dora is completely fiction. So, but she's also a budding poet, so we get some of her poetry, and that's why she's so linked up with Auden. But I've always been very interested in that period in history, the 30s. And she makes it come vividly to life, and of course it's set in Helensburgh, which is only about 30 miles from where I was born, so it has a particular resonance for me as a reader.
Yeah. All right, so Larchfield, that's the one we got to look at, by Polly Clark.
Yeah, and as I said last week, Tin Man was the other hit when I was up in Waiheke. Now I've got 1, 2, 5 books staring at me at the moment, and I will tell you about those in the weeks to come if you still can cope with my less than melodious voice tone.
That's okay, Ralph. You stick with it, and you enjoy the day today, and we'll get out and have a look at this book, Larchfield, by Polly Clark.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, I'm actually off to the opera, which is on this morning at Paraparumu. So I'll keep warm listening to Puccini.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. You might be able to tell us about that next week as well.
Sure, I can do that very easily.
Good on you. Thanks, Ralph. Have a great time.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Ralph McCalister.
106.3 Beach FM.